Love it or hate it, most people hate it. It's
Hate
Other
it.
M for the Wii.
This game does not exist.
Gentlemen,
it never happened.
Before we get started, all I ask is that we keep it civil. All right.
I have no opinion of this game.
Let's get out now. Jordan, we'll start with you. What's your history
Oh, we
with
should
the
introduce
Metroid
ourselves
series?
first.
Oh, sorry.
We should introduce ourselves first.
Oh yeah, that's right. I'm Will.
I'm Daniel.
And I'm Jordan.
Ah, so Jordan, what's your history with the Metroid series?
The Metroid series in general, like my history with it. Well, I mean, like Smash Brothers was like the first time I had ever heard of Samus and Metroid, and I was very surprised to find out it was a woman at first because the first Smash Bros was like the first time I ever heard or seen Samus, and then I played Zero Mission because my cousin let me borrow it. And from then I was just like, wow, I love this game. And I played, I got Metroid Prime, that was around the time Metroid Prime 3 came out. And I got bought used the original Metroid Prime to prepare for it. And I didn't like it from the control scheme, but I loved everything else, but I didn't get to finish it. And I played Metroid Prime 3, and I loved that game. And played the rest of the trilogy, but I haven't finished the other two yet. And then I got Metroid Fusion, and I love the Metroid series. It's like probably one of my favorite Nintendo franchises.
So how does Other M fit into this great equation of yours?
Well, I mean, like, it was announced at E3, and that E3 was pretty lackluster, so when this was announced, everybody was really hyped, including me. And then I was like, hey, it's like Metroid Ninja Gaiden. And then I think about a week or two.
We should point out that that comparison is there because this is a Team Ninja game, right?
Yeah, that's the thing though. I realized it was a Team Ninja game like about 2 weeks before it came out. I'm like thinking, wait a second, Team Ninja, they're the guys who made Extreme Volleyball. Samus is a strong female character. Shit.
Let me point out, Team Ninja, they also made Ninja Gaiden Black, which is a really good game. And they also made the Dead or Alive games, which are barring Extreme and all of that sort of stuff, those games are not exactly the best fighting games in the world, but they're actually pretty fun. They're a pretty good time.
That wasn't really what bothered me. It was like, okay, we have one of the strongest female characters in gaming, and we all know how Team Ninja does their female characters.
Well, okay, that's the biggest criticism that Metroid Other M gets. The way they treated Samus, and I believe in the manga series that she actually her character is a little more like her character is in Other M, if I'm not mistaken. I haven't read it myself, but that's one of the takes that I've seen on the interwebs.
Well, here's talking. It's a weird thing, right? Because on the one hand, you're talking about Samus being a strong female character and whatever, and that's technically true. But it's important to note that Samus isn't really much of a character.
I'd actually argue that's not true, because that means you can argue for any sort of silent protagonist in every game not being much of a character.
I mean, I think that argument would be kind of right. For example, Samus is not really doesn't really have any more context than Mario has. For example.
No, because Mario has a character. There are things Mario can and won't do. And the thing is that Metroid is actually a series that is heavily reliant on its canon. If you played Assassin's Creed, it will punish you for killing random citizens because you know what? He didn't do that. If you played Half-Life, Gordon Freeman, he's silent, but he has a character and he's defined by his actions. Silent protagonists are defined by their actions, and this is besides.
This is what I mean. Is that the only actions that you take as Samus are, you're in a scary space world and you're shooting some things, and that's
not
pretty
really.
much it. There's not really. It's this road of judging a character by their actions when they're necessarily in a game that is limited, where their conveyance of those things of any sort of character is like sort of limited, is like a little bit of a dangerous road to go to.
Because like I mean, like you have if you've played Metroid game, like have you played a lot of Metroid games?
Yeah, so I've played. I actually started like you did. I hadn't seen her until the first Smash Bros. Game. I didn't even assume. I was also surprised she was a woman, but also mostly because I just assumed she was like a robot.
Yeah, so did I.
You know, like I didn't really even think of her. I was like, who is this person? She has a gun arm. She must be a robot.
I thought the same thing, yeah.
And then yeah, so I played. I had started Super Metroid a bunch of times, like emulating it basically when I was younger. Didn't really get into it. Then I had played Metroid Fusion, which I loved. Played Zero Mission, which I loved. And then I've never played the Prime games, but I did beat Super Metroid. Actually, earlier this year was the first time I actually like went back and was like, okay, I should probably play through Super Metroid.
Oh, was this the first time you beat it?
Yeah, first time I had sort of started it in the past, but this is the first time I got through the whole game.
I understand why Super Metroid is such a a loved game to this day, but I'm really not a fan of its level design, because there's some parts where like you literally blow up a wall that has no that's no different from any other wall in the game, and that's the way you need to go next. Like that's pulling some Zelda 1.
There were really only like two parts in that game that I thought were obnoxious. The first one was there's this one where you have to like run across a platform for the first time, and it's basically testing you of like if you know the dash button exists, and they don't make a point to really tell you that button exists. So that took me a long time to figure out, because there had never been a reason. That was like I think a poor way to check if you knew that a run button was there. The new bridge. Yeah. There was that one, and then there was also like the wall jump in that game.
The wall jump. I spent so much time doing that. That was like, it's like game design wise, it was good to like, teach you that, but oh my god, it just did not work that well.
Yeah, like I had sort of got, like I did that and I was like, oh, I have to wall jump, but the way I had to wall jump was like not how I would expect it to, and I was like sometimes triggering a wall jump and sometimes not, and I couldn't figure out, like I had to look it up at some point. Otherwise, I find Super Metroid to be like a pretty, quite a well-designed game, and like, I don't know, this is probably a larger conversation than we have time for in this episode, but like, I had played Symphony of the Night a little bit earlier, and I found that a lot of the parallels and especially the differences between how those two games approach a sort of similar genre or like a similar layout to be really, really fascinating.
Yeah, well, like going back to sort of what I was saying is like, if like in the Metroid canon, right? This is someone who does like, in a very dark way when you think about it, genocide on a regular basis.
Well, she blows up every planet she visits.
And blows up planets. Like, she's not going to be freaking scared of Ridley, considering she's killed him like how many times already. She's not going to like, compare everything to like a baby thing, even though like the baby Metroid and all that stuff. Like, she has more than that. You're not
like, I totally get where you're coming from, and I get where you're talking, because okay, like, so I've never played Other M, though I will say that like from this first action scene, it looks actually pretty cool.
Oh, it's so much fun gameplay wise. No,
okay, and I understand, but I know the broad strokes of why people don't like this game, and I like sympathize and I get it, and I understand why those specific things are like a bit of an issue. But I'm just like, I guess I find it really hard to attach myself to characters that like aren't that are sort of these like shell type characters.
I get it that people don't like this game because of the way Samus's character is portrayed, and Jordan, to what you were saying, there is that one particular scene that really drives it home that, man, they didn't even try to make Samus a strong character. But I think the biggest problem is that her character is just, actually this goes for all the characters in the game, they're just not well written. And I think you can every lead female character in a TV show, film, movie, they don't have to be the strongest character in the world.
No, in fact, they do need to be well written. That's the thing. Is like, I'm over the idea of this is like a female character who has to be like infallible and like some like
Oh, I'm not
badass
saying that at all.
time. Like it's really that they just have to be like actually a character.
And
Is
that's the
big-
problem. Oh, sorry.
Yeah, sorry.
But-
I actually agree with that. I wasn't like saying she had to be like infallible. And I mean, like if they want to like add more to her personality and like make her have flaws, like human flaws, like yeah. But I mean, like you go along with the actual lore of the thing. Like they didn't, like you said, they didn't even try to really make her a character, and they completely regard that like this is like it says right here, Metroid's all exterminated. She does this on a regular basis. She goes to scary
She's a
planets.
bounty hunter.
Exactly.
She does. That's
I
her
just
job.
feel like if you have a problem with
This
that,
is
you
like a
also have
regular Tuesday to her.
I feel like you also have to have a problem with like her having a sort of like motherhood relationship with the baby Metroid, which is like a very old plot.
Going
to be
back
honest,
to that scene,
I
I love that scene. I think this game is beautiful in terms of cinematics.
Yeah, but the thing is, like, I wouldn't have a problem with the baby Metroid if they actually, like, said, like, she had any attachment to it previously, because, I mean, like, if you go to Super Metroid, or even, like, if you go to Super Metroid, like, she doesn't have any attachment to the baby. She pretty much just, like, gives it to the Federation, is like,
That's
okay,
true.
bye-bye.
Yeah. But here they gave it story. Like they had one job to give the Metroid series like a game that is heavily based in story and character development, and I think they truly fell short on that. And I believe it was X-Play in their, I think it might have been their last year, when Morgan Webb, I wasn't sure if she was one who wrote the review, but she presented it, and I use the term review shortly. I use it loosely because it wasn't a review of Metroid Other M. It only focused on the story and more specifically Samus's quote-unquote lack of character, and it was a rant about how she wasn't a strong female character. I'm like, okay, guys, that's fine to criticize, but you can't base your whole score of this game on character.